Here's your meal, fit for a king. Dinner will be served. And I'd like to take you on a little tour and show you some of the natural food that Mother Nature has supplied in her arsenal of food sources for wildlife. And with this wet spring, it really produced a lot of different mass crops that all animals will really forage on. And so let's go and take a little survey and see what kind of mass crop Mother Nature has given the wildlife down here in Clark County this year. Okay, here's a hedge apple tree. You notice there's just loaded with hedge apples. And deer really love those, you know. They will forage on those, and they'll eat every one of those. Eventually you'll hear them dropping, and it makes a pretty loud thump when it hits the ground, but the deer will consume every bit of that hedge apple will be consumed by deer. And it was really an excellent crop this year of hedge apples. Just over here a little ways, hickory nuts are on there, just thousands of them on these hickory trees. They've got these hickory trees pulled down, and it's just amazing how many hickory nuts, without all that moisture we had this year, this spring, really put on the mass crop. And some of you guys that are out trying to figure out where you want to put your tree stand at, you ought to be looking at what Mother Nature has given you as a food source. And but people don't have any woodsmanship anymore. They just want to put on their Under Armour attire and put some face paint on, and basically that's their preparation today. This is a survey of finding out what your mass crop is. And you know, you have hickories. The turkey will really thrive on those, and the deer also. So lots of mass crops this year. These trees are just heavily laden with them. Yeah, here's a hazelnut bush. All kinds of hazelnuts in here. Deer these are like ice cream to the deer. Just laden with hazelnuts. The bow hunting is supposed to be an overall big picture, where you're a woodsman, a naturalist. Probably screwed that word up. Focus on what Mother Nature gives you. So let's go wander through and see some more things that we can find. These hazelnuts are getting more in the ripened stage. I say these hazelnuts grow right at the right level for browsing deer. And they're just loaded with hazelnuts this year. Thousands of them. Now here's another forage people take for granted. It's not really a deer food, but it's a squirrel food. Your walnuts. And they had a real good year too. So just abundance of walnuts, black walnuts. All that stuff's free food that Mother Nature puts out. And let's don't forget, we planted this clover in here. So that's another resource that they're going to be eating on. So it's really, there's a lot of food out here. You just got to look for it. Yeah, these are the buckeyes. And you can see that's loaded with them. And you break that hull open, and there's your beautiful buckeye. But I don't know how many so-called bow hunters, they're more interested in shooting an arrow through a piece of paper at an archery shop. Basically, I think they want to buy a rifle through a bow, but they don't even go out and look for this. They're probably still in bed. It's 6:30 Sunday morning. This is time to get out and do your survey when it's cool. But like I said, there's a whole different group of so-called bow hunters out there today. They're more interested in technology and smartphones and mass communication, social media, than actually getting out and putting boot leather to the forest floor. Let's go on. See, like I say, the acorns seem like they're down quite a bit this year. Yeah, last year was a good year for them, so they're like every other year. But right now we haven't found a good acorn tree. There's a huge buckeye. It's just unbelievable up through there. Things to look for, things to do when you're sitting around saying there's nothing to do. Bow hunting is a lifestyle, not a 2 month out of the year ordeal. Here's your other crop, another crop, acorns. Plenty of acorns on these trees. Just inundated with acorns. Get out, walk your timbers, find out what you got going for you. Just all kinds of acorns on there. I mean, just covered with them. That rain did do some good things this spring, even though I wish we had some right now. But big clusters of acorns. Like I say, just covered with food crops. And a lot of the hunters that want to kill the big buck are probably still in bed on Sunday morning. One more food source a lot of people overlook is these bean pods off thornwood trees. A lot of potential energy up there in those trees. Deer, I've seen them come over and browse on these and eat them. All kinds of food sources out in your timber. Just have to be observant and go look for it. Well, we had a pretty interesting morning, to say the least. We went to the grocery store. We found hedge apples. This is a late season forage for white-tailed deer. They'll eat every one of these off the forest floor. Real soon, you have the hazelnuts. The hazelnuts grow right at deer level. They love these. These are ice cream to them. You also have the buckeye. The buckeye, it comes on, and they love these also. I mean, the turkeys and the deer will eat these until there's not one underneath the tree, just empty hulls. The hickory nut. A lot of people don't know that the deer do eat the hickory nuts. They also are prime food for the turkey. And any of this mass crop was here long before the agriculture crops, and that's what the wildlife sustained life on. All, not to say the least, you don't want to leave out the acorns. Now these came off a red oak. They're a little bit more bitter, but the deer will eat them, so will the turkey. The white oaks, I noticed this year didn't produce as much. They're like a seasonal tree. Maybe every other year they'll produce. Last year they really produced, but I noticed the red oaks were really putting out the acorns this year. So you have you have exactly 1 acorn, hickory nuts, hazelnuts would be 3, your buckeye tree would be 4, your hedge apple tree would be 5, and let's not forget the thornwood tree or the honey locust tree. They really love these bean pods. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 natural food mass crops that are growing out there. All you have to do is go look for them. This is the real deal. This is what you should be looking for. Acorns, hedge apples. Keep in mind, this hedge apple, it's a late season, and it's an excellent late season. If you got hedge apple trees in the late season, you want to hunt around them, because I guarantee you, you'll find that's where the deer are going to congregate. It's underneath of those. I had a gentleman a couple years ago. I hunted in the timber, and I like to hunt in the timber because the mass crop's there, and he had very little knowledge of woodsmanship at all. And he come out and he said, Mealey, where's the food? And I thought, well, there's a gentleman that couldn't see the forest for the trees. And all his food sources were the agriculture crops, the food plots. This is what made the deer grow for the last 200 to 300 years or longer here in the United States. 240 years old. So this is what they browsed on. We didn't have agriculture crops in the state at that time. So this was what made deer prosperous. So get off the kick about going and buying shake and bake, dumping it on the ground, and which is highly illegal in the state of Iowa anyway. And go and do a survey, take an audit of your forest, and see what's out there. So that's it from the Non-Typical Norwalkian. Get off the couch and get in the bush.